So I want to thank you all for being here. And now, who am I introducing next? Who's next?
Distinguished guests, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
I mean, it's just the prime minister of a small country, right? It's easy to forget. It's like just this tiny nation, probably next to Ukraine, right? I mean, it's just the prime minister of India, which is what the event was actually about. It's unbelievable. I was going to talk about something else today. I wasn't going to discuss this. But the reason that I'm talking about this is that I've noticed how the American press is acting. And they're acting as if Joe Biden isn't president anymore, and it's Kamala Harris. Like, everyone just got on board with the program, and they are almost writing articles as if she is the sitting president. And I just want to notice the major difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. When Donald Trump was in office and he was about to finish his term, the Democrats weren't talking about COVID. They weren't talking about lockdowns. In fact, they believe that COVID is this like internet conspiracy theory, like this fringe stuff that if you believe in it, you're probably a racist because you don't like Asian restaurants or something. I don't know if you guys remember that time period, but yes, it existed. The Democrats back then were all focused on impeaching Trump. Now, why were they doing that? Because again, like the man was close to the next elections, like he had a couple of months and he would have been out of office, and if they impeach him, then he would just run again. Like, it makes no sense. But the reason they were doing it is for the optics, right? Is to show, it's like, look, they elected what we believe to be an illegitimate president. Like, we want to stain the record, not on him, but like on the Republican Party. And the question is like, why are the Republicans doing the same? Like, after the debate, everyone knows that, all right, well, the U.S. president is having certain senior moments that are just getting worse and worse rather than better. And no one is saying, like, well, hold on a little bit. Like, we get it. Election is coming up, but, like, we still need someone to run the country. And not to make an embarrassment when they're talking with foreign leaders and whatnot. Like, why don't we try to use the constitutional strings that are given to us in order to make sure that he steps down, and then Kamala Harris becomes president, whatever, she can be the first woman president. But since it's the Democrat Party, I guess all she has to do is to identify as. So if she identifies as the sitting president, maybe she is, who knows? It's so bizarre though, isn't it? Again, it's not bizarre the fact that Joe Biden is doing this, because we're used to it by now. Is the fact that the mainstream media just doesn't make a scandal out of it. Because it would be, like in my country, if the president would do something like this, it would be a scandal. But for some reason, no. And the interesting thing is, so many people before the debates actually believe the mainstream media that no, there's nothing wrong with the president. It's just like cheap fakes, it's cheap edits. Like, no, he is absolutely cognitive. Like, he understands what's going on. I mean, look, even he says that he is running for an election. And even within the same day that he stepped down, in the morning, he posted on Twitter that he is running, reassuring the donors. And in the afternoon, his own staff members find out from Twitter that, well, actually, he's stepping down. And yeah, there's not going to be a primary. You're going to get Kamala Harris because it's too late now. Had he stepped down earlier, then maybe there would have been a Democrat primary. But because it's so late in the race, I mean, what can you do, right? Oh, Dios mío. It's the thing that really astonishes me is just how low the bar is to be a politician, right? Like, people look at the working class with, oh, well, they're not educated. They didn't work hard enough to get a comfortable job as a gender studies officer or an HR lady. So because they were lazy and they didn't go to school and they didn't work hard, now they're driving trucks and whatever. This is how the liberals think. This is how the bourgeois thinks about the working class. But the reality is, like, a truck driver has an actual much more difficult job than the U.S. president. And it's shocking. Like, you would be like, V, how can you say that? Well, think about it. What does the U.S. president actually have to do? He's got to go into places and read the fucking prompter. He's got a team of people that put papers in front of him, and it's like, sign this paper and sign that paper. Like, if you're a person that genuinely doesn't care, and you don't have, like, the willpower to try and make changes, try and impose yourself, and you're just like willing to go with the flow, anyone can be president. Literally anyone. I think that even a 5-year-old can be president. Just read from the prompter, and when you make a gaffe, the media doesn't report on it, and just people laugh along and move along, and then it's like they're pretending that nothing has happened. So if I ever hear anyone say, well, this guy isn't presidential enough, my answer will be, fuck you. Like, literally, just fuck you. You know, there is no such thing as being presidential. Like, that just doesn't exist. We do not have the statesmen of the past. Like, when the war with Russia and Ukraine kicked off, I was actually curious, you know, like, who's our Churchill now? Who's the leader of the free world? Like, who is the statesman, the politician with the power of rallying people around them and energizing the masses? And the only person, and by the way, this is an insanely low bar. The insanely low bar. The only person that I thought could actually be even in the same remote area, still not satisfactory, but at least it's getting like somewhat close, was Boris Johnson. Like Boris Johnson actually during the invasion of Ukraine, right after the siege of the capital, he's like right there in person, shaking hands with the politician. And well, you know, that takes balls. Like, honestly, you know, that takes balls. Not everyone can do it. Not everyone can just go into a war zone in the middle of active conflict and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to go there and I'm going to talk. So it wasn't like he was a statesman or anything, but he was like getting really close compared to Emmanuel Macron, which talks with Putin on the phone and then has like a photo op with him crying at the table. It's like, what the fuck? Is this a world leader? Like what exactly is he inspiring? Why is he trying to fearmonger the population? Because, like, him sitting on the phone, you know, crying and pissing his eyes, that's a photo op. Like, there's a photographer in there that's trying to catch the right angle and the correct lighting and all that shit. Like, that's not natural. That's not organic, right? So, like, that's how other world leaders presented themselves during the crisis. So, you know, the question comes, like, if there was a crisis now, who would be the world leader? And not only that, there's even another question. Who on the left has the ability to energize large crowds right now? Who on the left is a role model for people? I mean, it's almost like they've disconnected themselves from the population altogether and they're just the party of the elites and the bankers and the corporatists and pretty much that. Like, if you're not in the club, they don't care about you. So they don't even try energizing crowds anymore. I mean, Obama used to energize crowds, right? Bernie Sanders used to energize crowds. Even AOC is now losing her ability. Like, I see her energizing small crowds, but, like, even she is now part of the establishment and people recognize her as a corporate brand. So, like, who on the left has the ability of energizing people, of having a rally that makes people proud of being an American and having that guy as their representative? Like, that just doesn't exist. And if it does, please let me know in the comments section. I'm actually curious what you think. And I'll see you guys later. Take care.